Now, Eyewitness Sports.
PRI OOT, Yanni Karakis, Ruthie Polinsky, Maury Hirsch-Gordon.
Doing well.
Today.
Yes. Bikini blue.
You are in your bikini
This
blue.
kid's on a tear. How many?
You love the look.
Yeah, it's just so easy.
Yeah. Cozy.
About being cold outside.
It's always very important. Taking care of yourself in
One
that
man
regard. In life. All right. To talk. Also, welcome back to our loyal viewers on Apple and listen on Apple Podcasts.
Play.
You know,
Apple,
an iPhone.
Listen, so like it's.
People have iPhones.
Laura says she.
Yeah.
Android, our director.
I think Snake though sometimes.
Snake was
with the flip phones.
I would assume it's 70% market.
What that percentage is. Get on that.
All right.
Topics. Big news. Not big news, but I guess this kind of emerged today on social media and Twitter. Rachel Nichols' interview was also NBA's Rachel Nichols did an interview, sit down exclusively with multitude of topics. You guys can on what you want. I guess what stood out to you about that interview? What was your reaction?
Kyrie did it in the first stuff is swirling the team, not having fun and having issues for the All-Star break, but and is good enough to finds the time to sit down and do an interview where he starts his teammates for not being mature enough. His backup here gunning for his minutes. He's leadership quality that he's not possessing. And he's 26. All right, you've been in the league 6 years. He's like mighty and better than everyone else, and he's not leading by example. This is just adding fuel to the couple days off. They have Milwaukee, a playoff rematch, and now we're still talking about Kyrie Irving. It's like, what are you thinking in the interview?
I understand wanting to, but have to come like when the game room. Controlled comments that you're going to say, you come off of a tough loss, you say these comments, and then you forget about it. You keep everything in-house. You keep problems so external. You can't let everybody inside your locker room and know the problems that. This is 1 year that Kyrie Irving won't have every year in a championship. And he hasn't done it even if he won't after July 1st, and that's still a topic we can debate in the future. He's still year like he's all in this franchise, and it was just a poor decision.
What I thought was that he, near the end of that interview, he says, media has broken up locker rooms. I've seen it. I know that it happens. Yet here he is talking to the media, bad-mouthing his teammates, saying that it's been a in more or less team. And what stood out to me is so hypocritical. Breaks up locker rooms, but then and talk about your team. So if you have things you want to mates, do it in the locker room and go win. Go play basketball and go win, because that's going to solve every single. That whole thing with Terry using his name and saying we're gunning for each other's minutes and that's natural. That's when you just say like if you know what I mean.
The Celtics, and like you said, this is his last go around. Why don't you like make it peace and quiet and just go play? You guys. And the other thing is, this drama. Want to stay Kyrie? Make a spot for or any other player that wants to, seems disgruntled. Where everything just last year.
Right.
So poor leadership, poor time, and like I just want him to mature more. He's
need him to championship. We can all win an Eastern Conference Finals without him, get to the finals. They'll definitely not win a finals if Kyrie's not in the lineup. But you gotta want to bring fans to the Garden. Fans, you're almost pushing fans away at this point to not like this team. And this team is a group of likable guys for the most part. And you have the Al Horford, quiet,
assassin.
Quiet
Almost
assassin.
like
Exactly. Goes about his business basis. You're just making people not like.
Their rating, whatever, is 20%.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
It's just a lot of talk about not. And like at the end of the day, like this is you're playing. Like you are so playing a child's game for a living, and all you can stir up a little drama. It's like it's the whole NBA
drama
right now, which is frustrating. That has to do with the ratings, etc. But bottom line is solve your issues internally, and then win.
You know
and
who's
then
the
everything's
least
fine.
We had a single personnel issue 5 years being here, and all of a sudden this year, all this crap.
It's that he's not has commented on the drama.
He confirmed the Morris. He pretty much backed saying, but I am. He is in training, getting away from it all, and you can't get away from it all because Kyrie is doing an interview with Rachel Nichols.
And it's funny to think college coach. So, but the kids that are playing the game because they love to play, they're not getting. So it's you can say, oh well, he's used to. This is a very different side of the game, coaching players than
those athletes.
And the Butler athlete is not the Duke athlete.
Of course,
he wasn't getting All-Americans other than
Kyrie.
Zip it.
Topic. Let's switch gears to college hoop here. Island. The saddest loss we've seen.
Worst loss since Dan Hurley's. Literally,
that's
no
what I was
one
going to
on
say.
the team. There.
Before the Dan Hurley era, be the most disheartening loss we've seen. Rhode Island, obviously on the road at VC, they look top of the tough place to play at large. So, given 3+ point,
76, 42, 34 points.
I'll start. What was so disheartening and sad was at halftime, the body language. Maybe the walking to the locker room. It was right then and there that I said, it's going to be pretty. Because you have to go into the locker room. Okay. They came out sad. With 10 minutes left in the game. How much time to effort 30-point comeback happened? 20?
Maybe not 30.
They were never going to win this
30.
game.
They were not going to win this
up
game.
20 lost, so maybe 20 is
20-ish.
Feasible to come back from on the road. But
language on the bench, their head in their, and it was just not the culture that we've seen there. It wait for the season to be done, and that's why this season, in their minds, I think in their minds, the season is a loss. No.
I don't even know what this question means, even though I wrote it. Are they going to the tournament? No.
Right.
Are they going to get in? Can they win 3 of 4? Friday night, who's the other top team? No. Maybe they go 2 and 3 the last. Can they show some grit and be, kind of play in that mentality we've seen the last couple of years where defense, you play. I mean, that was bad last night. And the fact offense is going where we 3-point shooting team in the country. If our defense isn't there, that's what happens. You lose by 30 points.
Right.
And we haven't seen a loss like in this era, recent Dan Hurley era. And you just wonder if these guys are going to grit it out and more impressive efforts. But something that's interesting, they beat VCU at home. The difference between this team, it's just been like a downward slope, and is it going to get better before it gets worse? I don't know.
If this team had any chip,
Culture.
fabric in have guys that have played in the NCAA tournament games, they would not have lost the game on Saturday. Fordham came in losing 12. Doesn't matter if you go to in the game's a 1-point game. In that game, you find a way to win the game. This season's shot. Not the tournament. They will not even qualify below the season.
The invitation.
Correct. Correct. But they wouldn't. But they're not even going to get an invitation to even deny one. This team will finish in the A10. They'll definitely play Saturday night. They have a couple tough games. I mean, St. They're right in the mix of having to play in that the Wednesday 10 tournament. George Washington also. But yeah, this 100 on the first day of the A10 tournament, and this team, language like you said, it's some missed shots, and they're open. They're taking. Can't seem. Roll around the hoop right after the heads drop, and nobody's there to pick them up. David is upset that the ball didn't go in. About defense, and then the biggest thing is it's hard to play defense when you don't score. I mean, to work every day, it's easy to come in winning Super Bowl, Red Sox, but if teams lose, to cover teams that are losing, it's hard for them when you play defense.
And to be fair, put things in perspective here, because I think it's easy for a fan base to lose sight of those losses. That's a lot of guys. Not only were just playing professional now, playing overseas professional. Culture just wasn't there. Guys, Fats, who just overlapped a year or two to really cause most. Like to be able to cover Dan Hurley, it's tough, and so Dave, I know, is doing the best he can to be able to bring that content change now, which he's to. And I know that there's a lot of trials and tribulations a new coach has to go through. Also, when you take over a team left, you're expected to win. And with the guys that he lost, that's really, really tough to do. And I think even Dan would have had with these guys. I think the biggest takeaway, though, is just the mentality, the body language, the feeling around this program is just a little dead.
Situation for Dave Cox, because NCAA tournament teams, I think all of us probably rated the freshman class in some respects thought more right away. I mean, part of the he was recruits, which he did. I think who left. So, but it's a tough situation because you mentioned you lose all those guys. 7 players, 4 and 5, or 5 and 6, 1 and 2. Saying off camera, they're the top of the.
Fats said no. Little freshman that was like, okay, he can maybe hit. And say, don't let him shoot.
Yeah, I think it's an indication. The fan base shouldn't say Cox. It's his first year, and there's a transition period going. But I think I don't realize how the team how solid the program was on footing, and I hosted the URI coach show with Dan Hurley a year in which they were brutal, building the foundation.
Right.
So that was sort of the mountaintop, and we probably drop off. Of us thought it'd be more. I thought they'd be in the mix at the beginning of the year. That's clearly not the case.
They were picked 5th in the preseason poll.
Those
picked 1st or 2nd, and they're
this is
drastically
a disappointment.
underachieving. Some of the recent losses are definitely, disappointment. There, you're right around the 5 spot. You finish 6th, you finish 8th. Your coach, freshman that underperformed, can't shoot, Jeff, whatever, bang, 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 one after another. You live with finishing in 7th, you live with finishing in 8th, you're over 500 for the year. But the way it's going now, you're going to have a lot of things.
Turn it around so that, there's some into the offseason.
I mean, Jermaine Harris, Tyrese, those guys are freshmen. And they're talented, and they're going to get better.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bright, young they're freshmen. You can't expect E.C. Matthews.
We see this all the time in the college ranks. You can't have a 5-person senior class year after year. There's always a drop. So they had that senior class. There's a drop on the team this year, by and large. Contributors, seniors is tough.
Yes, but
so I think there's a leadership void just inherently.
Right. This is depressing me. Mookie. Love it. Okay, how does the Machado deal? How does that make Mookie feel?
I think it makes him feel great.
I think he's dancing in Florida.
The worst that happens is 10 years. You get what Manny Machado got, 10 years, $300 million. I think he eventually stays in Boston. I don't know if you sign long-term like Mookie. How about a contract more than $30 million a year, but you sign a 6-year, $190? Exactly. So you sign a 5-year, $180, 6-year, $190. Then you hit free agency, you're 31, and you still have 3 or 4 years in your career.
Good idea. The good thing about baseball is it's guaranteed contract. These guys guaranteed the NFL, where the NBA, where you want a contract every 4 years because you're going to get more money. Yeah, it's great news. I think he's a better player. The Padres deal was bad. 10 years for Machado. Is he going to make? I think he's a bad culture guy. I don't like, I think he's sort of a punk artist. But Harper, the better. We'll see.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting too.
If 100 has to be 350
at least.
4.
How much Machado have gotten if he was known as he hustled on a daily basis?
I don't hustle. That's not my style.
Yeah, exactly.
That was literally his quote.
Yeah.
It was just.
So you look at Mookie.
Yeah.
Easy. Or less years.
Padres' situation is interesting because, if you were to get that kind of money, like a David Price, and you're a place like Boston, in a place. So to go to kind of do your thing in Sandy, you're probably not going to win games, but just kind of hide and make a lot of money, then good for you. The biggest takeaway, I think, is just the longevity of this contract. Unprecedented, right?
Well, it's like Pujols and A-Rod. The A-Rod wasn't bad, but he was 30. Right. So they knew he was going to be a bad deal.
Right.
At least Machado, how old is he?
20. In his 20s. I think 26,
yeah,
27.
So you still have those prime years, but it seemed like the owners were doing this, and the Padres just got cold feet and were like, all right, screw it, 10 years, here you go.
We just won it.
Right. But everyone was sort of conspiring.
He does feel for his entire life, this is awesome for him because, you just signed this deal. It's game over.
In hindsight, the Red Sox years back, seemingly they're learning from it, bring Sale in for an and arbitration, and it was higher, $20 million to avoid. So they've learned their lesson.
Mookie is worth all $350 or whatever million he will get, but I just don't. This 300 he
slot. We'll see how that changes.
Exactly. All those other stats go up. For in that position.
Switching gears to football, reports coming out within the last couple of days that the Patriots, quote, actively pursued a trade to Beckham Jr. What's that? Your OBJ?
Yeah, that's his
It's
catch.
your OBJ. I mean, obviously, last season, before the monster contract.
Fair. I don't know how much there is to this report.
Right.
Chris Sims is on Pro Football Talk. He's not exactly a newsbreaker.
Correct.
And if there was, I'm not saying it's not, the Raptors would have been there 2 minutes later, adding context to it all.
Sure.
So, sure, they needed receivers. All the guys they brought in were nightmares. Josh Gordon, week that was receiving core. So, a year ago, sure. Now, they still don't really have of under contract, other than Edelman under contract. I know everyone says, oh, they had Corey Dillon, they had Randy Moss, and all these examples.
Josh Gordon.
I don't want OBJ. I think he's too big of a drama queen, and Brady had
I want him so bad.
3 or 4 more. And then what? You have OBJ going on booze cruises on bye weeks while the ever for the Patriots. Have never needed a A-list All-Pro receiver. Moss never won a Super Bowl. In the 6, they don't. Just get me some good receivers. I don't need OBJ.
I think he'd be a
You're
great
such
fit.
a-
I
yeah.
mean, I think it's a decision of whether the Patriots, would win a Super Bowl. I think those are other factors that play into winning a Super Bowl. But I think it'd be a great fit. I mean, why not? Just talent alone on the field.
I mean,
Those kinds of deals. So, is this real? Be so, be so fun for us to cover OBJ.
Yeah. Slot great. I do think he's getting a little older. Ball.
Consider.
Put a pitch count on it. I think the season continues.
and he doesn't throw a ton of
through
deep
his
balls.
40s.
Right.
No, he doesn't.
Anyway,
he doesn't
right. It's
done
not
it
really
well.
his game.
It's never been his
No,
strength.
that's BJ's game, in which he does. Eli Manning throwing up lollipops in the air, and him out, aka Plexico Barris.
He's still making the Patriots don't allocate these resources to the
No.
receiver position. They just don't.
Fun to talk
No.
about. Be a great. Stupid. No.
And Brady, they always comment on each other's Instagram and a point of
OBJ and Craig.
probably.
You know how like people are like social media
It
friends.
seems like Brady have something. Seems like they have a football
Yeah, I wonder.
for whatever reason. Brady said, if Tom Brady said, "Hey man, cut the crap, come for me, let's listen, make Cruz."
Right.
You know, it's Brady. Like, come on.
Right.
So, and I think you see people do that for the Patriots.
It'll be
Just
interesting.
kinda-
You mentioned Gordon. If he I guess he technically could come back next year.
It's possible. It's possible.
I don't know. If
That would be interesting.
Did you go through that whole song and you cater
Right.
the what's up again?
Yeah.
I
Right.
would say no.
What I do think is interesting, making the crazy one-handed like highlight, is you don't really know what our future is with that has been making those highlight reel catches, for however long in Gronk. So if you want kind of a guy that can average or make those clutch like first downs, Del Beckham Jr. is. But another thing to point out about him is his health. He's kind of rocky, isn't he? Always knows
Yeah,
if that's
he's
just
been
that was
injury
his Manning or whatever. But that too.
Toothpick.
Yeah,
Okay.
he feels made of glass a little bit.
Yeah. Very.
Anything else? No. That's it.
Goodness.
I cannot wait. How about the Brown?
No.
No. The tournament, you need to be top 4. What
Oh.
are they?
Big game against
where are they in
Harvard.
right now.
Big game against super well.
They're in
Fifth,
but 2 games behind
2 games
fourth.
back.
And I think
I hope they make
I don't
it.
know if they
Hope league tournament.
at Yale.
Oh,
Lee Amphitheater.
nice.
All right, thank you to our viewers. listeners on that's WPRI OOT.